What's up? Good girl. Good girl. So, this is just a little quickie piece here, Interman. I'm going to throw in, I wanted to mention that during this currency session, there's tons of stuff to cover, and I'm trying to just cover the stuff that's energy relevant. Most of you already know about the Federal Reserve and the acts of, 1913 and all the tax thing and how the system works. People can investigate that on their own. That's not what I'm here relating to. Everything in this video is regarding the energetic aspects of money and currency. And so, just to make that clear, I mean, you can only fit so much in 15 minutes, right? And see if we can get a clear off view real quick. Wanted to keep rolling on since I left off on the last part with money and money fresh on my mind, and it is pertinent. I'll put some video and other visuals to this later, of course, but basically I wanted to touch upon money, or as we call it, currency. Okay, in this case, our money. Okay, but the object could well be an electron, because that is what it's actually referring to. It is a form of energy transference that is used instead of trading goods for goods, or your time directly for goods. We trade our time for the money, and then we trade the money for goods. Now, in history, you'll have plenty of examples of how this came about. The purpose of compactability, travelability. It's hard to carry many goods one place to another, but you can carry money. Therefore, you can buy the goods once you get to the place where you're going. Convenience, I guess, was the word I should use for that. However, it has a bigger role that it plays in actually creating a current or energy flow. And that's why it's called currency. The act, if you could picture, say, each little dollar bill is an electron. And just like an electrical current going through a line, feeding a machine, it feeds it so many electrons. The more electrons it feeds it, the more work it pumps out. It's the same thing. And not only that, the work is often controlled by the currency holder or the generator of the currency, and is, let's just put it this way, in the fact of the money going to the person being the machine who's pumping out the work in return for the money, would often do things that normally, if it were not for the money, that they would not do. Okay, be that physically, morally, etc. Um, a lot of guys say on a crab boat wouldn't be out there on that crab boat risking their lives fishing for crabs unless the money was good enough, right? And the same goes with people who sell out their moral standards and integrity, etc. It all is bought off with this currency, and as a form of energy transference and trading. Now, that's where it plays into our model and how it controls and works in the system to make things operate. It makes things happen. It's just like when you plug in your vacuum cleaner into the wall, the current goes to the vacuum cleaner, and it makes it operate. This is how our society operates, and it's like a big machine in that regard to the fullest extent. You can analyze it and see how it or conducts itself as a machine, and how each individual that participates is just another circuit in the machine that takes a workload, just like a circuit in a circuit board takes workload. So that's how money plays in to the energy aspect, and as far as control and generation of production. Now, the money itself is now marked, and has always been marked, even when it was metal. It was always marked. When even back in the day, when the Romans or the Greeks or whoever made their coins, they always put their head stamps on it, etc., showing whose money, whose currency, who was in control or generating that source of energy, of currency, was always on the money, the market. And it is no different today, although there are many other talismans and symbols and signs that are included in the money today, not only to keep the control of the money, to ensure that the money stays in the right hands, to ensure that the money always comes back, to ensure that the money, um, how do I put this one? Manifests or produces desired results, and most important of all, to gain your consent and full agreement to the contract. Because in all those symbols and stuff put together creates a contract. And when you use that, and that's in your face, you are being told what you're using, who it belongs to, what it's for, and what it's about. And you are thereby agreeing, when you use it, you are giving your consent. Again, everything comes back to your consent. So you accept and consent to the monetary system that is currently your currency controlling you. That way it's legal. Everything's all legal. That's what half the book of half the scripture is about, is the legality of what's going on here. And we'll get into that as we go along, because Jesus plays a big part in that legality, along with telling you, basically, in other words, the same things I've been telling you throughout these series. So let me see if that was all that was fresh on my mind about the money. They also, as we have found out, they print hidden images of the money to basically incorporate energy around a certain event that they want to create. But the bottom line of it is the gathering of energy towards that specific uh, event or point in time. Let me see. All right, with that, we'll continue on with something else here, or maybe a little more on that. We'll see where this goes. The American dollar bill is probably the world's best known banknote, but how many people appreciate why the Great Seal of the United States of America is printed on it, or understand what these ancient symbols mean? The symbols of the Great Seal, which are featured on the dollar bill, are clearly intended to embody the beliefs of those who founded the United States of America. The current design of the Great Seal was approved by Congress on 20th of June 1782, and the seal was introduced to the dollar bill in 1935. The continued official use of the Masonic symbols today indicates that these beliefs remain at the heart of the U.S. establishment. What were the beliefs of the founders of America?
Numerous sources, apparently outside Freemasonry, report that the vast majority of the American founders and the signatories of the U.S. Constitution were Freemasons. Anti-Mason material routinely claims that almost all of America's founding fathers were members of a Masonic order. Official sources within Freemasonry counterclaim that some, but not all, of America's founders were Freemasons, and point out that the Masonic status of many of the alleged Masonic founding fathers cannot be proven conclusively. The aforementioned school of thought is corroborated by well-documented reports from some authoritative Masonic sources. Thus, Manly Palmer Hall, 33rd degree Mason, wrote, "Of the 55 members of the Constitutional Convention, all but 5 were Masons." One side of the Great Seal shows an ancient Egyptian pyramid beneath a triangle containing a glowing eye. The shining eye in the triangle is certainly a famous and common Masonic symbol, although some Masonic sources prefer to deny this. The all-seeing eye, or in this case, in Masonic case, it would be actually called the Eye of Providence, for those who don't know, is not the same as the Eye of Horus. Is one of the most important and spiritual Masonic symbols, and the distinguished Freemason George Washington, first President of the United States of America, wore it emblazoned boldly on his Masonic apron. The front of the Great Seal displays an eagle, which is also an important symbol in Masonic traditions. The use of the blazing eye and the triangle motif, surrounded by rays of light, and the official seal of the Ordo Templi Orientis confirms the occult significance of this symbol. Now then, the eagle is also the phoenix, for those who don't know. Now, we're not going to go through all the symbolism and stuff on this. I will leave links to each pieces of these articles, and you can come and read thoroughly all for yourself. I'm just showing the talisman, the symbol, the symbolic effects of it, and you have different points of views. I will actually include a counter point of view that I ran across, and not that I promote it or agree with it, but this person wrote up, Dr. Brookie Stockton. What a funny name, is it? Nike Research, if it's even, whatever. But he believes that the symbols all showed that it is, here, when listening to the news media, one might set the false impression that America was designed to be a secular state. This guy, he says, "I believe a study of the symbols on the dollar bill will prove otherwise. The dollar bill is the basic unit of currency, blah, 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 blah. Its design is laden with symbolic imagery. The symbols on the dollar bill inform us about the theology, philosophy, and values of colonial people building a new nation, though the bill has experienced design changes, blah, blah, blah." Now, he goes on with the basic upfront Christian view of the symbols. Whether this guy actually believes this or if this is wrote as a counter intelligence means, I don't know. But you can check it out yourself. I will go ahead and read this one other part for the history of the dollar. The word dollar comes from the German Thaler or Thaler or dollar, spelled with an a name given to German coins made in 1519. The coin was named as it was minted in Joachimel, probably butchered that, a town in what was then Bohemia. The name meant St. Joachim's Valley. 2 million of these coins were struck between 1520 and 1528. One side of the coin showed a crucified Christ, and the other side showed an image of a serpent hanging from a cross. Near the head was the abbreviation NU, and on the other side the number 21. The dollar sign, the little snake around the pole, is a copy of the symbol of the serpent on the cross. That was from the original dollar. The dollar sign is a reminder to all men that spiritual healing begins with Christ. Now, that's something this guy threw in. Not money, which is true, but that's not what the snake on the cross means. And for that, you can go back to the biblical story. I could have looked that up, but that's kind of off subject. About how God had him hang the snake up and all this and that to get rid of the curse or whatever. Um, One thing I did want to point out on this also, the dollar sign itself is also a symbol of the word sine, S-I-N-E, which is a wavelength frequency, uh, the sine wave. And a lot of people that done research on the dollar know this, and this actually does come into our position here with the energetic quality of the dollar, as discussed in other parts of this video. Um, Now, there's different kinds of magic attributed to dollars, to the money. The magic and mystery of America's money. It is commonly known now, more so than ever before, that the United States of America was founded largely by men with a philosophy grounded in the occult, namely the members of Freemasonry and other secret societies who saw in the U.S. a potential New Atlantis or New Jerusalem. They foresaw the future of the United States as a beacon to the rest of the world, guiding the nations towards the formation of a new world order of peace, democracy, and enlightenment. Many people today would agree that the U.S. is indeed in several ways fulfilling this role already. If nothing else, most people would certainly agree that America has come to dominate the world financially, and that among world currencies the American dollar is king, or was. But what few people understand is the correlation between the esoteric doctrines of Masonry upon which the United States was founded and the economic principles that underpin the American economy. Few understand that the dollar is a unit of magical energy, and that the dollar bill itself is a magical talisman. Although many words have been written by conspiracy theorists analyzing the Masonic symbols on the $1 bill, no one has yet been able to sufficiently explain why these symbols are there, or what they really mean. Certainly no researcher has successfully connected the markings on the American money to the hidden secrets of the American monetary system. The symbolism of the American dollar bill has been the subject of Masonic conspiracy theories since the modern version was first rolled out during the Roosevelt administration in 1935. Masonic and mystical symbolism has been used on American currency since the very beginning, and was employed as a means of distinguishing our money from that of the old world Europe, which invariably featured the bust of a reigning monarch. In contrast, our founding fathers agreed that our money should be decorated with the symbols of the anti-monarchist, pro-democratic Enlightenment philosophy upon which the Republic was founded, and many of these ideas were Masonic in origin. The Great Pyramid, the all-seeing eye, the quirky phrases like Devo, I can't even, I'm not even going to try that. God's favor through the years is what it means, and it's, I don't even know if that's Latin, but anyway, or mind your business. There's a big difference between how can it mean both things, God favor through the years or mind your business. I don't think those kind of relate to each other, but anyway, appeared on the American currency, early American currency. Indeed, the heads of the dead presidents and the other state figures were not shown on U.S. money until the 20th century, when it was seen as less taboo. But all researchers of the subject agree that nothing tops the modern American $1 bill for sheer exactness and complexity of its mystical symbolism. The meaning of the symbolism is so deep, the metaphor so multi-layered, and each element so precisely placed that although all of the other American bills have changed their appearance to prevent counterfeiting, with the heads moved off center and the addition of funky rainbow colors, etc., the perfection of the $1 bill has remained intact. When analyzing the symbolism of the $1 bill, most researchers tend to focus on the repeated use of the number 13. Which they always insist is an important number sacred to Freemasons without demonstrating any proof of this supposed Masonic affinity. Actually, they have demonstrated proof, but so you can go on to read the rest of this. I will include it. This is the view, one view, from this angle of a Solomonic or Masonic type order view. Now we have an analysis that I will also include. I'm not going to read a whole lot of it, but this part talks about Kabbalah magic on the money. And like I said, I'll include the link. I'm running short on time. I got more to put in here. The perfect currency. Energy currency. Baseless currencies eventually turn to dust. Energy is eternal. If we wait for commercial economists, economists, to develop a unit of measure which clearly represents all processes, we will wait in vain, as it is not in the interest of the finance sector to change. It is up to the science community to provide a monetary basis which will adequately represent both human and natural processes. And if you're new to monetary systems, you can click this link for Monetary Systems for Dummies. Energy currency. Towards a perfect currency, environmentalists measure in real physical units, not monetary units. Money was developed to facilitate the trade of disparate real goods across a broad range of distances where direct exchange of goods was impractical. But money has many shortcomings in representing the full real wealth creation process and assets, especially over time. Environmentalists have waited patiently for the commercial economic side of the real wealth creation process to develop monetary measurements which will capture the stocks and flows of environmental processes and non-renewable resource assets. Without such common measurements, no broad-based and unified initiatives on our planet's plural, many environmental challenges can easily take place. There will continue to be strong resistance from the commercial economic sector to any environmental sector efforts to make radical policy changes based on factors which do not show up in their monetary-based accounting system. If we wait for commercial economics or economists to develop a unit of measure which clearly represents all processes, we will wait in vain. It is not in the interest of them to change. It is up to the science community to provide a monetary basis which will adequately represent both human and natural processes. Fortunately, there is now an opportunity to combine the real wealth creation sector's demand for representative currency with the need of the commercial economic sector to change the currency used as the basis for international trade. As the international standard of commerce, the American dollar has had its day. The proposal by Zhao Zhaochuan, governor of China's central bank, in March 2009 to establish an international financial reserve currency based on a basket of national currencies is only the start of the process to replace the US dollar as the medium of trade and finance. But a basket of base currency, even if it is more stable, also adds more complexity. It is still based on printed money valuations and incorporates all of the other weaknesses inherent in currencies which are not hard asset based. Even though the Chinese proposal was widely rejected, the need for a stable international trading currency is clear and it is the subject of ongoing discussion. But why settle for another fabricated currency? The opportunity exists to advance to a real and stable standard upon which a bedrock can upgrade the currency be based upon which bedrock can an upgraded currency be based to facilitate accurate valuations, stability, fluidity, and to represent any scale of asset or transaction and offer resistance to speculation. Oh, that was supposed to be a question. Gold is limited by scarcity and scalability, although it can dampen the gyrator, blah, 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 blah. There's only one commodity. Let's just get to the point. There's only one commodity which is universally produced and consumed with both the scale and resolution to represent the full scope of any human endeavor. We already measure it in tremendous detail, and it is central to every economy and process. Energy-based currency would represent real wealth creation potential and would not be subject to the shifting valuation issues with which every national currency is prone. Energy represents the value of work already done as well as the potential of work which can be done. since money is energy, why not base it off of energy, right? Well, there's a lot of problems with that, although there's a lot of people that are arguing for it and saying that there's a lot of promise in it. Um, there's I'll leave links, of course, to tons of information on this. I wanted to bring it in because this is truly, this ties into the carbon tax thing, the whole carbon footprint thing, your energy signature. They're trying to take their false system of energy, transfer it, and blend it in with the true systems of energy upon where we live, and thereby taking total command over. And we already know, okay, that the energy cartels and the banksters are hand in hand. They're the ones running everything as far as the corporate world. The oil cartels, the energy companies, etc., nuclear industries. Um, all these people, these are the big wigs, these are the power holders, these are the power players, because they're dealing with the true power. And it deals with both, they're hand in hand with the money, because money is power. Money is the same as an electrical current in our society, going from place to place and making things happen. So this is something to be aware of. This is the future of your currency everybody talks about. They're trying to tie it into electricity and the production thereof, and then at the same time trying to say that that would be monopolized, as if electricity and energy isn't already monopolized. Um, so you can continue to read this article. I will include another. This Constitution Society has tons of links. It's basically just a link page. You can go to different articles on this subject. Proposal to denominate international trade not in dollars or other national currency, but in energy units. Proposal to dominate international trade not in dollars, or argues against gold as a viable backing. Different articles by different people. Uh, Here's one: Chris Cook, former director of International Petroleum Exchange, the oil drum discussion about energy alternatives. Um, and then this is just for cross-reference to see and understand how energy, this is all energy, and here's an example of currency. The cell's energy currency. The hydrolysis of ATP to yield ATP phosphate is highly exergenic. The loss of free energy is due to the structure of, and you can go on to read this. I'm not going to get into it a whole lot, but basically, this is the talking about the currency of our systems, of our metabolisms and stuff in our bodies. Um, they even, it's all about energy transference and the direction and flow, the current of energy. There's tons of information here. There's one article here, and on this, so all you gotta do, just go to Google, put currency energy, and you'll come up with different articles regarding the subject matter. And one that is an embarrassment is by the Activist Post. It talks about 10 reasons it could work. And I actually opened that earlier and read it, and it was horrific. I cannot believe that it's on something called the Activist Post, because it's totally anti-activist. It's totally nonsense. But I didn't open it again because the site loaded so slowly, and I actually think that I had to shut down my computer after viewing their website. So if you read that one, read it at risk. It attracts your attention because it says Activist Post, but it's a bunk article, man. It's so bad. All right, so thank you for joining me on this section of currency, your energy standard.